Okay. Today is March 20th, and as you can see, this is the fate, not the ultimate fate, perhaps the penultimate fate of Variadic Warfare. So, what exactly is Variadic Warfare? Variadic Warfare is an attempt at a game I made, a game I would make entirely in batch script. That's it. Okay, there's more to that, yes, but... So, I think the main thing that you want to uh, get from this is why this failed. Honestly, most of you probably know the answer. It's batch script that's the problem. But really, the concept I was trying to do wasn't anything advanced. I certainly could have done it with batch script. It's just, I felt it wasn't really needed. And so this sort of set of videos or whatever I make will just be going through the game, explaining what it could have been, and if I return to it with another scripting language, maybe VBS or something like that, maybe that will work. You know, maybe I'll return to this one day. It's just a whole explanation of what exactly this is. Maybe someone could take inspiration from this. Maybe someone can fork it and finish it. I'm unsure of it. So first, why did I do this? So first, why did I do something this dumb? You know, I feel like it should be obvious this should never be done with batch script. Well, okay. Well, let's take it 2 steps back and find out why. The original idea was to do this in PHP to learn PHP. However, things changed when I was personally invited to 2 game jams. Yes, two game jams at once. And I decided, fine. I'll join the game jams. And I had another idea. And it was another idea for a project that I was already planning to do, and I'll probably finish that soon enough. This is why I originally wanted to learn batch script. But considering I was so interested in batch script at the time and not PHP, I decided I'd do this concept in batch script, and it'd be a much better challenge, I think. And now I'm sort of going, on and on and on about this game, and you don't even know what it is. So let's talk about the actual concept for a little bit, beyond the fact it's in batch, which probably is baffling. What actually is this idea of a game? What could you possibly make in batch script? Well, it's a terminal game. So, yeah, now it's starting to sound a bit better. Now it's starting to be pieced together a little bit better. But it's a terminal game. And the idea was, you are a human who has been abducted by aliens. And in being abducted by aliens, they have taken away all your senses. Literally all of them. The only thing you have to rely on is a computer. Is a computer to tell you what's around you. And because of that, you have to sort of solve or figure out what you're supposed to do. And it's not like you just wander around and do things like that. No, it's a warfare game. You go into war and you have to strategically decide, how do I move? Where do I go? And you know nothing about your body. You have no idea if, your legs have been replaced with metal. You don't even know if you're organic anymore. Well, okay, obviously your legs have been replaced because you can't feel anything. But the thing is, you know nothing about yourself. You can't even see yourself. It is entirely black. And so it makes sense to be in terminal because you are entirely blind. Now, of course, there are psychological arguments, there are psychological studies that go on and on and on about how, oh, if you're in the dark for too long, you could hallucinate, be delusional, things like that. But I actually looked into it because it concerned me thinking about that for a while. And I'm not 100% proof or anything. You can Google it if you want. But from what it looks like to me is those hallucinations only really happen to people who have nothing to stimulate them while they're blind. Because obviously, we have blind people. Guys, we have blind people. They're not... okay, well, they may actually hallucinate. They may actually, because there's some evidence for that people who suddenly go blind start creating a world around them. There is evidence for that. But... and honestly, I was thinking about implementing that later on in the story, where it would tell you that you're starting to see things, and it would end before, you fully get used to it and begin recreating the entire world. Of course, I don't know the dynamics of how that works. How does that go from step 1, where you're completely blind, to step 355 or whatever crazy number, where, you completely can see, but it's not actually reality. It's an hallucination. Right. So, how exactly would that play out? I did have that planned, but it's probably not worth going over right now. That will go on to the next video or something like that, because I'm going to break down the steps of the process, I guess. Here, I guess it's best we just continue working on the lore and things like that. So, yeah, so what did I imagine? So, you can actually read here how this story initially played out, because you're not just an average human. You're a World War I soldier. And the idea, the more complicated idea, the more fleshed out idea, was at the Battle of Mons. Now, if you know about Battle of Mons, you probably know about the Angel, like the whole theoretical army of angels that helped the British defeat the Germans. They didn't defeat the Germans. I looked into it. I promise you, they didn't defeat the Germans, but they retreated. But yes, you would be abducted by aliens, and that's what the Angel of Mons would be. You would be abducted by aliens. That's what the Angel of Mons would be. And personally, I think it's a really cool idea. The Angel of Mons. And I was thinking, and this is what I was thinking for the whole introduction and things like that, at least early on, where they would use, what's quantum foam? Yeah, quantum foam, that's what I'm thinking of. So they would use quantum foam to formulate the universe in a way that disguises their ship, and then they would further cause gravitational fluctuations, because in the time-space continuum. Yeah, right, time-space. It sounds like I'm spouting out sci-fi gibberish. I don't know what I'm talking about, but I promise you, I have thought it out. I have thought out how it works. Because, the space-time continuum actually has been proven now. That's not like a mathematical theory anymore based on Einstein. That is literally been proven at this point. We have actually calculated fluctuations within the plane of gravity and time. But, and you can look this up. This is all on the internet out there. Maybe I'll link an article or two, something. But yeah, and they would disperse these gravitational waves that would cause the human body to go into shock and then suddenly collapse. And that's how they'd abduct the humans. And so, and maybe, like, the government would just write this down as, oh, it's angels, write down angel propaganda, things like that. And yeah, that's the full fleshed out introduction. I'll go into how the computer works and things like that, because I did have that planned out. I was working on this quite quite well. It's not like I quit on day one or anything like that. No, I was working on this for maybe 2 weeks. And it just didn't work out. Well, I want to say it didn't work. It's just I just said, you know what, it's not worth doing this. I'll do this when I learn, VBS or Bash or something like that. But yeah, so let's go into, first, who exactly are these aliens? Now, I forgot what they're called. I have to look into the main.bat file to see what I called them. Those guys weren't entirely fleshed out, but I kind of developed it a little. So, if you know who these guys are, these are the Cravers from Endless Space 2. They'd kind of be like the Cravers. They'd be insectoid. They'd be more beetle-like than, these flesh mongrels here. They'd be more beetle-like and things like that. They'd have wings like a beetle. And they'd have a shorter lifespan than humans, and that's probably the main driver to why they're abducting people for their wars. Because they have such short lifespans, they need to abduct other people for their wars. And it makes sense. And I believe I say, in stage 1, yes, there is stage 1, but that's where I stopped. I believe I say in stage 1 that you're being trained in stage 1, and the trainer says, I have had 50 generations. My family goes back 50 generations. That's 5 human lifetimes. I'm better than all of you. And, they would be a very noble race where they'd believe in family, but they're very short-lived species. It's, in a way, it's just long enough where they can get stuff done, but not long enough where they can really survive in space. Or survive as a hugely dominant species in space. Of course, I wasn't only inspired by the Cravers, we'll get to that later. But, these are I forgot their name, but this is from Endless Legend, if you ever played that game. Very good game, Endless Space 2, very good game, all from Amplitude Studios. But yeah, this is another, Necrophages, it's right up there. Yeah, it's on the URL. But, yeah, Necrophages. But yes, the Necrophages and the Cravers, I think, are the biggest inspirations for this race. Now, they wouldn't really look like this. I was thinking more like a shiny beetle. Like a scarab, really. A scarab. If you know what a scarab is, I was thinking that. We get into more of the culture and whatnot when we go over main.bat and in stage 1 and things like that. Then we'd go over the culture and whatnot. So what exactly would humans be? What would a human transform into? Well, I was personally thinking this, sort of. Kind of. If you know this character, this is Dick from Arcblade, and yes, that's his name. No juvenile jokes. That's his name. But, yes, this is Dick from Arcblade, or at least his model. Here's his concept art. But, Arcblade's a retired game. You've probably never heard of it. But nonetheless, these characters serve my purpose. More like Dick. Actually, it's closer to Gasper, also from Arcblade. Both mechatronic humanoids, things like that. Okay. Mechatronic humanoids, things like that. Arcblade. Yeah, simple stuff. This is Arcblade's a fighting game, but we'll ignore that. But yeah, what it is they'd be sort of mechatronic warriors that barely be biological anymore. They can't see, they can't feel anything, and I couldn't decide if they had legs or thrusters, but honestly it would make more sense if they had some sort of gravitron modification devices, like the aliens did. Yeah, and I think that really sums up. You would have a computer to guide you where to go and things like that, and I think that really sums it up. Uh, Perhaps I'll have another video on the extraneous features, and I'll go over there. But I will say you were given archives and things like that you can look at to understand the history and whatnot. And this would be actual files on your computer, so you can actually look into the computer. But we'll look into your computer, look on the files, and you'd be able to look at the archives. But we'll get into that on extraneous features and things like that. Yeah, originally there was supposed to be an HTML element as well to this, but I decided, nah, not really worth it. And you can see how PHP plays into it now. You know, like PHP ties into HTML and things like that, but yeah, it's one of those things. So if you wanna keep up with me and things like that, I have Discord, social media below. I know C, C++, JavaScript, C Sharp. I have plenty plans for the future, now Batch, of course. I've used Makefile, GCC, whatever the hell you want. I could go on and on about all the different projects I have. If you want to keep up with it, just follow my social medias, I guess, and join my Discord. Thanks.